I decided to mix it up a little bit with my D&D shirt. I've got my my DM shirt on today, so breaking out of the Humanize IT swag and into my nerddom.
That's a deep closet there.
Yeah. I figure, this is gonna die on it, a D20, and we're talking about the actual content of a QBR, which can I be kind of a crap roll, like did you
Yeah.
What are you going to talk about today in your QBR? Like, I don't know. We're going to talk about tickets. Oh no, Nat 1.
Yeah.
So, I had a really great, couple demos this week, and some people were talking about how do I tag projects so that they go to business goals? And I was like, that is the most beautiful thing I've ever heard in a demo. Is you get it, where we're going with this. And I talk about like how on our software, I have one goal. All you do is think about one goal that the company has. And we have a hardest time getting MSPs to fill out that one goal.
We do.
Understand that the company has like 4 or 5 goals.
Yeah. I think that's a surprising part. It is refreshing when I see it. But so when you log into our platform and you're looking at one of your clients, there's a line up there and it's for business goal. And for the longest time, that was an internal field. I mean, well, years and years ago, but we've changed that with Humanize IT. And for several years now, it's been for the client's business goal. And so many times I do see that empty. I'm like, why? Do you not know what your client is trying to do this year? What is their goal? What is their objective? If you don't know what that is, you're just not going to be able to align properly to do what they need out of their service provider.
Yeah.
More than anything, and we'll probably talk more about this, but when you don't align with their goals, the only value you bring is low cost.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, there's nothing else you're bringing to the table. There's
almost no difference between you and a trunk slammer. I say that I know the objections are already starting. I'm trolling here. Yeah. You're supposed to do on social media. You're supposed to troll your audience so they get emotional about what you're saying, whether it's anger or happy, one way. But when you're just there to fix what's broken, like, yes, you could be better at it than your average trunk slammer because you've got a full system for making sure that you respond faster, but you're still not augmenting the business. You're just keeping the lights on. And so today we want to talk a little bit about what is the content of a good QBR or a good strategy session with a client. Many of you have never been in a strategy session with a business, and it shows when you're in the room because you think you know what a strategy session is, but you don't actually because you haven't been in the boardroom. If you want great examples of this, find a good nonprofit and serve the board for like a couple of years, see all things they're doing wrong, see what they're doing right, get that good feel under your belt. Some of them are just not run well and you're not going to learn much, but you'll still see like, they're talking at a very high level. You're still talking at a high level and what actually matters. And so in your QBR, you need to treat it like I need to discover. And so Skip and I have a couple easy tools here and they're easy because you need to have them memorized. You need to have them at the top of your head and you have to have a firm 100% grasp on what these things are so that when you're in a session and maybe a meeting turns into a strategic session, you're like, let me do this. Hey, and for me, my tool in my back pocket is a SWOT analysis. I will whip out a marker and a whiteboard and then you get to see my bad drawings. Skip, I haven't done any bad drawings in a while.
Actually, I was going to jump in here. I think there was a season where you actually carried a dry erase marker around in your pocket. Like most Westerners, yes, it's handy there, but
it's never too far from me.
I'm one of those guys. I've always got a pocket knife on me, right? So something happens, whip out the pocket knife. Need that. So Adam, something happens, he pulls out his dry erase marker.
I got my dry erase marker.
He's ready to swat it.
I am ready to go. I have some friends who has particular brands of dry erase markers that they keep around. And, it's just funny, because I was ready to go. When I was doing VCIO, there was always a dry erase marker in my pocket. It's all right, you guys want to talk this through? Let's go out. And I would draw SWOT across top of a board and let's run through this. And I could do it on the spot. No big 10-box exercise, no big like complicated thing. It was something I could whip out in a meeting to drive strategy. And Skip has his two Qs. What are those, Skip?
Yeah, so mine was a precursor to the SWOT. And so I want to follow up on Adam's SWOT. All right. He was the one that convinced me that I needed to do a SWOT analysis. It was years ago. And I was like, I don't know. It sounds really cool, but I've never run one of these. And it ended up being just a all around fantastic meeting. And I thought what was so cool, and I was commenting the other day on this, we was in this meeting and I was running the SWOT for the very first time. And there were directors that had worked for this company for 30 years sitting across the table from each other. And as I ran this meeting, they learned things about their peers' business unit that they didn't know. And they both of them went back and forth and go, wow, I didn't know that, whatever, And so you talk about a productive meeting. I mean, this one was off the charts for our clients and me. So yes, the SWOT is great. So mine is meant to kind of lead the way into the SWOT. All right. It's the icebreaker. It's the quick, almost the elevator conversation. If you've got at least a little bit of walk down the hall, this one will work. And it's 2 questions. You ask, what's their number one source of revenue? And then follow up with that with what's the number one risk to that revenue?
Yep.
And the discussion that comes out of that is all about their business. It's the things that are really, really important to them. If you've got a business, you don't want the cash flow drying up, right? You're looking at that, and you want that cash flow to grow. It's what you're really passionate about. It's the thing that they get up every day and they work on. And that cash flow, that revenue is really, really important to them. So why wouldn't you focus your solutions and your technology around supporting and enhancing and making that, really, really valuable, secure, all these good things? Instead, we come back and go, I can patch your PCs in half the time that anybody else can. It just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter.
Yeah, looking at the forest through the trees, you have a hard time seeing the direction you're going. You're working hard, but you're building that road. So if you want to look at that analogy, it's the workers in the forest. They're building a road. The manager goes up the tree and looks to see where they're going. And they're like, hey, we're going in the wrong direction. The worker's like, yeah, but we're making great time. That's the way it is when you walk into these QBR meetings and you're like, hey, we're closing tickets like crazy. Yeah, but the business isn't growing.
Right.
And now they're going to have to cut you. They're going to have to cut your area because your operations, and they still don't have enough money to focus on that. The business has to grow, and then you will grow with it. Feed your clients. Feed your members. Turn that 100 member business into a 500 member business. Help them get there, and they will remember you.
Yep.
They will get you to that point where they are able to help you grow as an MSP, because now they have a bigger organization. They will remember that you got them there.
Yes.
You're an integral part of that. Yes, this is a long game, but some of you have been in business for 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
Some of you have been in business for 10 years. If you would have started nurturing those early clients and helping them grow their portfolio, where would they be today?
Yep. Well, and here's another tip on, what to talk about in those QBRs. Now, this one will work if you've got a client that you've recently onboarded, or if you have just an amazing memory. All right. But when you're doing your pre-sales activities and when you're talking to a client, there are things that they're expressing. They have pain points from wherever they're getting their IT services. It's why they're looking at you, right? And they're talking about what they really need from their IT services. And I can guarantee you they aren't needing you to close, 57 tickets a week. All right. That's not a metric they're looking for. What they're saying is, hey, we can't get a response from our current IT guys, and we can't get these tickets closed. And they'll always follow up and they'll say that caused us to miss a member meeting. That caused us to miss a deadline. There was something that really, pushed it over the edge. those things that were the pain points during your pre-sales, they need to be the success points during your QBRs.
Yep.
Right. You can't just sweep those under the rug. So whatever you talk about in pre-sales, you need to be talking about that afterwards, or you're not talking about what's important to their business.
Yeah. The main goal here is for you to move the needle.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you do a SWOT exercise, so pragmatic, you're in the middle of a QBR, and we're going to do this once a year. Unless something new comes up. If an issue comes up, we're like, we don't know what to do, pull out a SWOT analysis. Mm-hmm. So at the beginning of every year or at the end of every year, when you're doing your annual planning with this client, write strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, threats up on the board, SWOT, and then put them in columns, and then start with strengths and say, what are we doing this year that's really good? What have we been doing over the past year that's been good? Write down like maybe 5 things. What would we like to accomplish this year? Opportunities. And then what are threats? That's what's going to keep us from having that happen. And then write down those threats and keep an eye on that threat column. And then you can go back and say, you go back and say weaknesses and match those up to some of those threats and see if there's an opportunity there to make it a strength.
Yep.
And so the goal there is that in this one session, you might say, hey, there's a technology that can take this weakness and turn it into a strength, give you a competitive advantage in the field. Maybe it's that, your employees they really hate filling out timesheets, and there's a great software, that helps them do time tracking and streamlines it. Maybe, and that makes it your workplace of choice. Maybe their employees would like to work from home, and they're losing employees because they're moving to work from home workforces. Okay, you can help with that and make that a strength. We now have a work from home friendly environment. These are things that you can switch a weakness and turn it into a strength. You can turn a threat into an opportunity. And you, as an engineer, have solutions that they have no idea exist, that they don't know is possible. And because you've got 10,000 solutions in your head. And so using this mechanic, this operational tool, a SWOT analysis, you don't have to have the answers. You're just organizing the thoughts on a board. And every once in a while, you're going to see a threat that you can't do anything about. And then every once in a while, you're going to see a threat. Do you have, why don't you just do this? And I'm like, I didn't know we could do that. Yeah, it's totally a technology that's out there now. Or do you want me to research this for you?
Yes. And that is really important, because we can't solve all problems, right? That would be great, but we can solve some of them. And if we don't take this intentional effort to at least identify, then we're just shooting in the dark. We're just completely shooting blind here, guessing about, hey, this solution or that solution. At least we'll know. If we identify a few of them and we can say, hey, here is a problem that you have, and I have a solution that will fix it, that's a win for you and your client. If you just happen to implement something and somewhere along the way the client happens to realize that this fixes their problem, you don't win. They feel like they got lucky. All right.
Yep.
And that doesn't grow your relationship. That doesn't really grow your business. So be intentional about these. Adam's talked about lots of different things you can do with the SWOT. And so, he's the SWOT savant, right? But you don't, and that's the beauty about SWOT and so many of these other techniques that are out there, is there's a wide range of use case on those. And it starts with just cataloging, just showing up and going through a simple exercise and saying, Mr. Customer, can you identify for me your strengths, weaknesses, and opportunities and threats? And maybe there's not hardly any discussion. Maybe it's a 10 or 15 minute meeting and you're done. It might not be as productive, but at least it's a little bit productive. You're going to get at least a start. Yep. Maybe your next one's a little bit more involved and you grow into those. So you don't have to start out, being this, I don't know, whatever. We try not to call Adam. We don't try not to put him in a box, right? So you don't have to be at this extreme. You can just start as a cataloging experiment. Hey, let me bullet point these items out right quick, and that's going to help me focus on what I need to do.
Yeah, sometimes it's that tool. Like there's whole complicated tools like Porter's 5 forces analysis. There are 10 box exercises. There's really complicated ones, EOS implementations.
Yep.
You don't need anything that complicated for what you're trying to do in these strategy sessions. You just need a simple mechanic that gives you a talking point. So as I said to Skip, like when I taught Skip how to do SWOT and he came back to me and he goes, holy crap, this conversation happened. And it's like, because you put it on the board, you created a mechanic and that mechanic is driven. The SWOT analysis is over 40 years old and it's still used today for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Now, they don't write very many books about it because everybody knows SWOT analysis and it's not new, you know, and everybody wants to come out with the new mechanics to sell their books. The SWOT analysis works. It has worked in every session I have ever been in when it comes to strategy. And it's old and people are familiar with it and it's comfortable and you write up on board and people are like, oh, your department's having a problem with that? We solved that 6 months ago.
Yeah.
You let us just like, why don't we just go ahead and do the same thing? And, you know, you may not understand the manufacturing process, but you just drove them to a solution and you said nothing. All you did was put the problem on the board. And you've got smart people in this room. Smart women and smart men just sitting there who know this business in and out, and they see this problem on the board and they're like, wait a minute.
Yep. We
can solve that. And then another one goes, I have no idea how to get people to work from home. We just don't have the infrastructure for, or I don't know. And you as a technology person can be like, oh, well, here's what I can do. All you need to do is buy that firewall I've been trying to push on you for the past 6 months. And then you need to, then it's going to come with this great tool that you'll click on and it'll bring you right in and everybody happy. And while we're doing that, we can migrate you out to Azure and blah, blah, blah. Like there's these 4 projects we've been trying to get you to do for a year. If you do those 4 projects, your people can work from anywhere. Or, you know, maybe they want to move to a better inventory system, or they want to use Microsoft Dynamics for something. And you happen to have a dynamic shop, or maybe you know a dynamic shop that you partner with, whatever it is. It doesn't matter because you're all unique in your knowledge sets, in your history in technology, and you bring uniqueness to the table. But if you're vomiting information on them, you're not giving them time to digest. And if you do craft your comments and things to them, they still, you don't know what they're looking for, what they're fishing for. And so just to flip this around, this little rant around a little bit, in an organization, I was just talking to Andrea the other day about this. Like, if you want to help employees feel valued in an organization, they need to feel like they're contributing to the overall health of an organization. Mm-hmm. My job, no matter how low level, my goals for this year should do something to help this company grow. So at the top level, you set a goal. And then you let it trickle down and say, each department, how are you going to contribute to this goal? Each individual, how are you going to contribute to the departmental goal? And that's a PBO. In a QBR, you should be trying to find your place and how you're contributing to the company's growth. So at the end of the year, when you review, you don't say we closed 60 tickets or 300 tickets or 2,000 tickets. You're saying we were able to get 14 more of your employees to work from home, you know, and Karen, when she went on maternity leave, put in this many hours because she was able to work and take care of her baby. These are things that are wins. It helps your employees at your MSP feel valuable because they're like, man, I really have made a difference today. I didn't just fix computers. I made a difference. Your client now goes, this MSP really helps us grow. They were integral to our success this year. And we will listen to them more next year. And so when you design your SWOT exercise or you do your 2 Qs next year, you can look back on the ones from last year and cross off a bunch of things and then add new things to that SWOT list for the next year.
Yep. And we're in a really great time right now as well. I mean, we've been talking a lot about the SWOT, and as we mentioned, there are others out there. Many of your clients, either they wrapped up last year or they started this year with some sort of executive review. You know, there's still companies that their team gets together and they go off site. They're using tools like EOS or, you know, anything else that's out there, and they may have a set of goals that they've already come up with.
Yep.
It's probably or it should not be a problem for you to ask for those, or at least have a conversation about those. Maybe they don't want to send you the whole document. Okay. It might have sensitive information, but maybe it would be a great opportunity for you to book a meeting and say, hey, can we sit down and talk about that? Can you share with me the high level items that came out of your executive retreat so that I'm able to support those decisions and goals that your company made?
Yep.
Your client's going to be all over that. All right. They're going to be, that they spent the time and effort, that they've got these goals, they're working on them. And when you come and say, hey, I can help you with those goals, they're going to listen. So just ask.
Yeah. And yes, as Skip pointed out, this may be the first time they've ever done a strategy session. So your clients may never have done this as well. They're in the same boat as you.
Yep.
They are organically growing.
Yeah.
They started a company, and they may never have had an EOS coach or a strategy coach come in and help them out. And you might be the first person to kick that off. And yes, SWOT exercises are that powerful, is that they can take a really seasoned business person and be like, oh, I never thought of things. And they'll start doing them internally.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's so much documentation out there. That's why I'm not doing a really great job of explaining them right now. I have a couple of videos out there on SWOT analysis, but you can Google SWOT analysis right now and do your own research and figure out the format and the style that works for you, because it is a extremely well-documented business practice. And I want you guys to think about the 2 Qs as well. Like, we have an entire article on that in our QBR toolkit on how to do 2 Qs with your client. The 2 questions that will drive better relationships and help you move into the seat at the table. You may have been relegated to the background, but when you start asking these questions consistently, you're going to start getting invited to the senior table where they're making decisions and where you're a part of the company's success. And that is a very valuable and rewarding feeling to have.
Yes.
When you realize that you were part of the success of this company, this school, this medical office. And I like that feeling, and I'm addicted to it. So I will continue doing this. And I want you to continue doing this throughout your entire career.
Yeah. More than anything, I think having these types of conversation is going to change the perspective that you bring to the organization, that you bring to your customers. They're going to see you differently, and they're going to see you in a more valuable light. You're a more valuable asset to them when you can do things that help their business rather than just fixing the little IT things that pop up. You want to be an asset to your clients. And this is one of the ways that you can show that value.
Yeah. And I think next week we'll probably wrap this whole 4-part series up with, I want to talk about some of my success stories with SWOT analysis, and Skip can talk about some of his success. We're going to dive into those kind of cute stories we have and why this works with technology, how I was able to drive technology projects out of great SWOT sessions. And I would say only 10% of the discovery of the SWOT was something I could do something about as a CIO. Mm-hmm. The rest of it was us brainstorming as a group and realizing there were problems that need to be identified, and things like schoolrooms that we ended up closing and opening because they were no longer necessary. Mm-hmm. And so they came up with those solutions. I just happened to be in the room with them when they did it. So this has been great, Skip. One more part to go. We're going to show people what actually has happened when we do SWOT, or when we do a practical QBR that really matters, and what comes of that.
Yep. Sounds great.
See y'all next week.
See ya.